Hello everyone, welcome back to the third AnkamaLive of the day. That's gonna be talking about the rework of the Osamodas class. It took a bit more than 5-10 minutes. They changed the PC so that the GIFs wouldn't lag as much. Now I'm accompanied by Crocus, who's a game designer and that worked on the Osamodas class. And someone new that you never seen before, Mad Gap, who's an animator, working in the last 3 years on Dofus and more. We did a focus on the presentation to show you all the spell animations. So there's going to be a focus on this presentation on how it looks. Before we start, one last thing. There's going to be some dev blogs at the end of the live around 5 p.m. First one is going to be about the new dimension, and the second one on the Osamodas class. Thank you for the follow, Kalenma. So anyone who missed this will be able to follow on the dev blogs. And let's start. Oh no, before we start actually, why did they pick the Osamodas class for the rework? First, it's the thematic of the year. We're announcing the dimension. This was announced 1 year ago almost. And at that moment, we wanted to rework the class at the same time as the Divine Dimension. And also in terms of numbers, Osamodas is kind of underrepresented. So you will be able to see these numbers in the dev blog. But this was one of the main reasons to rework this class. It wasn't played that much. Technical stuff. Okay. So they have a little issue maybe. Okay, now they're ready to go. This was a rework that we wanted to do for a long time. Osamodas has had a lot of reworks. This is one more added to the list, but we hope that this one will be better in the way we see it. It has struggled for a while to find a visual and gameplay identity. We did a lot of experimentation. A lot of stuff was cool. A lot of stuff was either too strong or too bad, hard to balance, basically. Summon classes usually have a hard time finding their place between PvP and PvM. It's hard to maintain balance. Yeah, any summon class is a really challenging to balance. We hope that we found some compromise. That's interesting. Okay, there we go. What are the pillars of this class after the rework? We didn't change the roles. How you will do these roles, it will be changed a bit, but the roles are the same. So summon, healer, and buffer. When you have class like that, we always put the role in a summoner, but it changes a bit. For Osamodas, the summon translates into a DPS kind of role, because oh, maybe not. The class is mostly support, he said. No big surprise. We want to keep the identity. Okay, so these are the roles. This is the identity. So here's what we wanted to rework what it means to be a Osamodas. So it's a summoner or tamer being able to do support roles, damage roles, and positioner. Kind of, not positioner, but control, like crowd control. There we go. There's like a link to the beast bestial, but yeah, a bit more animal feeling. We want to convey this as well. Convey also the demonic part, like it looks a bit like an imp with the horns, the pointy tail, and it can transform into other shapes. Shapeshift. There we go. We can see that with the spells, with the look of the class. We can say that during last reworks of the Osa, we were basically reusing the animations and rework after rework. Some animations were lost or not that good, but now we redo all of this. We saw from 3.0 that the animations were faster. This is fixed. So having starting the work from scratch on this animation to be able to play fast. Also, like, convey visually the class identity from Osamodas. All of this, we want to showcase this in the spells. Anything you want to add on the role part? Let's go through that fast. More creatures, more different creatures. I need to increase the volume. So the spells need to be taken from a very large panel of creatures. A bit like shamanic, shaman, things like that. Original creatures that are mixed from different existing creatures. Also add like the whip thematic class. So the whip spell is coming back. How does it translate into a game design way? So this is what we remove. I don't know how many of you know the current Osa, but this is what we removed from it. So we're removing the mechanics from the last rework. So the summon charges. When you cast spells, you gain states. This is removed. You were using that system to transform or to summon. This is removed completely. Transformation for each element and the bonus that were linked to that. The transformations look good, but they didn't really impact the gameplay, so we're removing them. We're reworking the transformation system. You'll see later. There's not anymore like one transformation for each element. The summon spell variance is going to be changed. All of the things that was linked to the summon charges. Now you can have many copies of the same summon. In the summon system, we want something much simpler. There, one spell summons one creature. There's one cooldown for this spell, and you have more options. Okay, so there's a interesting point is how many summons we can have. So you saw it appear in game. Now there's a UI thing that adds the number of summons. This was added 1 month back. You can like click the 3 little dots here and add the summon points to the UI. So that will be able to control how many summons you can place on the ground. On the other classes, it won't change. Ooh, but on the Osamodas, it's gonna change a lot because some summons will cost more than one summon. Now, every summon costs 1. So if you have 3, you can have 3 summons. But now with the new Osamodas class, there will be summons that cost more. So this summon costs 1 in summon point, this one costs 2, and we don't see this, but we assume that it's cost 3. So every summon will have a cost in AP and a cost in summon points. So either you spam a bunch of small summons, or have like a big summon that is really strong, but this will give us leverage to balance the summons. So you can still spam a bunch of small summons, but if you limit yourself to 1 or 2 summons that cost more, you can change the gameplay style. And this can balance the power budget of the class. Yeah, there's kind of a Pokemon vibe to like choose what you're gonna summon, what you're gonna use your budget, yeah. And now it puts back more bonus on gear that give you a lot of summon points. It's gonna be capped to 6, so that you can't like summon an army of cracklers. But some maybe spells will give you a way to go to buff yourself higher than the 6, but the gear, a bit like AP, you can buff yourself AP. You'll be able to buff yourself summons, but the gear can give you only 6. You can only summon a creature that costs... Yeah. Okay, so how can I translate it? Every type of creature, so the 1 cost, 2 cost, and 3 cost, can only be cast once per turn. So you can only cast 1 tofu per turn, but you can cast 1 tofu, 1 dragon, and 1 crackler in the same turn. So the goal, again, is to balance and make it stable. You won't be able to like summon 6 tofus on your turn. You can summon 1 cost summon on turn 1, and on a second turn you can summon it again. But you can combine and summon 1 cost and 1 2 cost on the first turn. And there's gonna be these 3 ranks, basically. So let's call them rank 1, rank 2, rank 3 summons. You can only summon 1 creature of each rank per turn. There we go. Whew, that was hard. Yeah, the number of summon points you have is coming from your gear. So it's now SP, summon points. Obviously, the rank 1 summons will be less strong. Also, the number of stats that they take from your character might change as well from the different ranks, and is not going to be always 1-for-1 or something like that. There's going to be a system about it. I'm not too sure about what they're saying. Okay, so it will be depending on your AP, on the AP cost. So the crackler costs a lot of AP, gets more characteristics from your inherited. Same thing. Okay, so the cooldown starts when the... You need to wait 3 turns if your crackler... your crackler will have to... You'll have to wait 3 turns after it dies to summon it again. But gobbles, you can add 1 every turn. For instance. Okay. So, well, here are the new summons. Okay. More summons. Let's go through all the summons. So this is the Gob Gob, I think. There's two shapes. Small Gob Gob, big Gob Gob. Two versions of tofu, 2 versions of gobble, 2 versions. These are the frogs. They're naming in French, but I don't know how it's going to be translated. Small dragon, big dragon. This is a Scara Thunder or something like that. Crackler. This is like a crocodile and a phoenix. You can, from the looks of it, you can guess what how much they're gonna cost. Okay, so these are the 3 summons, like 1, 2, 3 Agi, 1, 2, 3 Strength, 1, 2, 3 Water, and 1, 2, 3 Fire. We didn't like how much like the Agi summons were basically just different colored tofus, but now we're adding a bit of variation to the different summons for each of the elemental areas. So we wanted to add more originality in the bestiary. So OG Osamodas will be able. All of the big ones cost 4 AP, 3 summon points. There's the summons. There's the spell deck. So you get all 4 small versions, I guess, super early. There's very little utility spells. Okay, all the big summons are here. We wanted to add more elemental spells to have like an actual gameplay. And we wanted to have space for the summons, so we reduced the utility spells as much as we could. And the utility is gonna get moved to the summons, or on the specific elemental spells. Less leash. You'll be able to move things in a way that you've never seen before with it. This spell, Piqûre Motivante, is And this one is gonna be useful for transforming. This is the buff spell. I think this is the movement spell. 8 spell for each element, so 4, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, I guess. 6, 7. I'm not sure about that. Yeah. The brown spell means that it's a summon. Now you have real Osamodas spells. The gameplay of the class was a bit empty, but now you have like specific spells for Osamodas. Even if you play around summons a lot still, we want to be able to have the spells to like evoke the thematic of the class. There's a piranha. So the water is like more aquatic creature, reptiles, frog. And the agi areas, the agi spells are going to be around flying creatures. So you can never play all 3 summons of a specific path, elemental path. So it's gonna be it's really gonna be at the end that you unlock the big summons. And in terms of elemental spells, every spell is across from it a different element, so you can really go all in one element. So here is all of the 8 first spells are life, steal, or heal. And there are the first spell here will hit Agi, will heal allies with Agi, and when you cast it, 1 MP for all of your summons. It doesn't need to be targeted. Every summon on the map gets 1 MP. Mostly buffs on creatures, on summons, but a couple of buffs on allies. But it's not the focus. Osa as a summoning class summons a lot of HP on the map, so having too many support spells doesn't make sense. And now they're talking about gub-gubs. One of them makes hits a bit, but they will apply special effects, so they have more of a support role. There's gonna be like a illusion spell, unbewitch maybe, or something like that. It's every class can now heal. Every element can now heal. And now the unbewitch is going to be from in one of the gub-gubs, so it's unlinked from the elemental path. The goal is to remove like one key aspect from a specific element and put it more accessible for each elemental path. There's 2 spells of micro positioning that uses the best element. The whip. Every element can use it because it's so iconic. Let's see a bit of the animations of this kit. That's the Phoenix. That's not working. It's still not working. Oh, we can see the colors here. Oh yeah, there we go, there we go. Look at the colors from the class. That's a 3 cost summon. Rank 3. Wow. We can see like the animations. Also, you can see this Osamodas mark that's taking colors from the caster. So your main color is adding a touch of color on the summons.
Oui, c'est vrai que je parlais que du Phénix, mais il y a 4 invocations.
Voilà, il y a les autres
que j'ai complètement.
C'est vrai qu'on voit.
Yeah, they were only talking about the Phoenix, but there's also other summons there.
Ça fait plaisir. Est-ce que d'un point de vue animation, comment ça s'est passé? Est-ce que les invocations
how does it work?
3 points d'invocation
From an animation standpoint, did you spend more time on bigger summons? The Phoenix had a lot of work, but we are trying to optimize the animations to not like make the game lag too much. They want to like keep the file of the animation a bit low while still making it beautiful. We wanted to optimize it for it to look nice, but without making the game lag. To give you an example, if you play Urgi or Panda, when you change the state, there's a bit of lag because the files are so big. But they did a lot of effort, so when you summon something, it doesn't lag because it's optimized enough.
Donc en fait, oui, là, pour le coup, là, les invocations, elles correspondent vraiment aux mobs qu'on trouve sur la map en explo. Il y a juste la petite marque OSA pour montrer que l'appartenance au joueur, quoi. Donc voilà le petit coup de fer sur la tête pour montrer son invocation.
They're still talking about the Osamodas mark that takes your colors. So this is the elemental spells. This is to show the usage of the summons in the attacks. So basically the wings of the Phoenix are used in one of the attacks. And here's like one of the transformations, the Chimera, that is used as the arm for the animation. Like it transformed partially to cast the spells. I want to do a bit of a rollback of a couple minutes.
Et on en a parlé pendant la bêta de la mise à jour de la 3.0. Ce que les joueurs ont désormais communément appelé l'idol du boxeur, ce petit nom sympa qui.
Okay, so they're talking about the boxer idol. We can see it from this in this animation. We talked about this topic last week. Eventually, we want to change this. Remove this, get rid of this basically. This animation is common for all the classes. Each classes starts in this position every so if we remove this idol that is not like the community doesn't like, we need to redo all of the animations for all of the class, because all of the, let's say the Osa, it starts like this and then does its attack and then goes back to the boxer. So if we remove the boxer idol, we need to rework all of the animations to start and end at the new position, the new idle of the Osa. So the compromise was to have the class idle when it's not your turn, and when you fight, now you go to the boxer idle. That way it was less work. We're still thinking about it, we're still talking about it internally, but it's a lot of work. You need to rework like more than 100 animations. They're still working and talking about the final blow or whatever it's called in English. But yeah, a small parenthesis closed. Let's go back to the Osamodas. More animations? More animations. Next slide. There we go. So this is the crackler punch. It's yeah, just splitting it in different parts. So your character punches the ground, and at the same time the punch appears, and then there's like the impact crater. It's a bit to give you like how it's composed, how it's made.
Et l'impact au sol, c'est ce qui va passer derrière tous les joueurs, derrière toutes les entités, pour vraiment donner un effet de profondeur.
So this goes on top of the creatures, and this goes behind to like to add like add a bit of context. Yeah, this was one of the OG spells that's reworked to be better, to look better. So as a reminder, there's a keyframe during the animation. At this, they call it a label shot. It's a tag that means like at this moment the damage is dealt, and then if you queue up another spell, the animation will be cancelled and the new spell will go on top. Starting from the moment where the fist hits the ground, the rest of the animation can be like skipped if you cast like all of the crater and the smoke, the rocks. It's a bit harder for sometimes, especially when Panda carry and throws. You can't really cut the animation at the middle when the thing is still in the air. But the goal is to have like each animation last less than a second. 15 to 20 frames. Some spells go up to 30 frames before you can animation cancel them, but yeah. Yeah, for higher cost spells like 6 AP, you can allow yourself to make the animation a bit longer because you know that the player is not gonna cast a bunch of spells during his turn. But for quick spells like that cost 2 AP, for instance, it needs to be fast because you're gonna spam. So yeah, there we go. Next slide. This is a new spell that's called Aeropic. So this is a dash spell, it looks like. So we can see all of the different moments. This is an Agi spell. You won't be surprised to learn it.
Un petit peu de faire pour les anciennes mises à jour, la 2.60 comme je disais avant, on utilisait des animations qui étaient un petit peu génériques, où on pouvait faire ensuite de l'équilibrage, assez facilement, alors que là, par exemple, sur ces sorts-là, on peut voir que dans l'animation, il y a une question de portée, une question de si c'est un sort de zone, on essaie dans l'animation de transmettre un petit peu ça.
Okay, so before they were trying to do generic spell animations to be able to do some balancing. But now they're trying to really link the animation to the area, to the effect that it's making. So for instance, the Feka that gives like Rampart, I think, the animation is large, so it shows like the area is big. But if you nerf this area, then you'll need to adjust the area, but the animation, but they don't really, they want to convey more about what the spell does in the animation.
Donc l'image fixe de l'oiseau, c'est vraiment l'image qui va être déplacée par le client jusqu'à la case sur laquelle vous avez cliqué.
So basically, it's not like only a 4 cells. So if you click on a different cell, it transforms you into a bird and then moves the bird to the spell, and then it will do the last animation. It transforms you back into the Osa, and then you do the hit. So on the starting cell, you crouch, then you transform into a bird. The bird moves across the map wherever you clicked, and then you transform back and you punch.
C'est vraiment focus sur le côté transformation de ses membres en
It's not necessarily going to be 4 cells.
La cravache. Elle est revenue.
Voilà.
So that's to be able to pull.
Sur celle-ci, vous l'avez peut-être vu, par exemple, il y a ça sur certains sorts.
It's missing some parts, I guess. Oh no, this is the part in front. This is the part in the back. Yeah, to be able to adjust on different. There's like a little cut in the whip because the animation is a bit cut because you don't know which cell, so it's hard to make the animation. So it's split in 2 parts. One part that will go in front of the monster, and then one part that will go behind. And this is assembled on top of your character, so it looks great.
Après, généralement, là, quand on regarde en boucle, on voit plein de détails, mais quand on est dans l'animation, dans le combat et qu'on lance ses
Yeah,
sorts,
sometimes it looks weird when you look at it as a loop, but in the fight it looks better. Oh, now you're talking about transformation.
Eh bien,
A bit of spoiler.
Eh bien, je pense que ça doit enchaîner. Je suis revenu beaucoup trop loin.
They are having a bit of issue with the slides.
Merci beaucoup en régie.
They're having a bit of an issue. The producers are trying to.
Yes.
Voilà.
There we go.
Et voilà, donc la fameuse transformation.
This is how the Osamodas transforms.
Comment c'est dans le kit de sort cette transformation exactement?
How does it work in the spells kit?
Au début, on a essayé en fait de faire une transformation justement en Osamodas chimère.
So it's a Chimera Osamodas transformation that will replace the previous transformations. In the devlog, you'll see some concept art around that from the character designers.
On a gardé plusieurs éléments pour avoir ce côté un petit peu assemblage comme ça, donc avec justement voilà la queue de diable de l'Osamodas.
Like you keep the pointy tail, the dragonic hands, tofu feet, the horns from the gobble. So basically it's a bit of a melting pot of. There's like a scarf / wings of smoke that's added. What does it do in terms of gameplay? So there's 2 variants to that transformation. Both of them will transform the Osa in this shape. One transformation will buff your summons. Your summons will be able to hit more, be more healthy, tank more. This will increase the number of summons that you can, the number or summon points. The other variant is going to be more oriented to fighting by yourself. It will increase your damage and your tanking, and you'll be able to go in melee and be the fighter yourself alongside with your summons. bit compared to what the Oogie can do, like go in, summon the yappers, and then do some spells. This transformation lasts 2 turns. You'll see in game there are some small other stuff. Let's say I had 8 points of summon while in this transformation, and I summon some stuff, and I detransform. What happens with the extra summon that are on the field? Well, they stay there. Once the bonus summon dies, though, you won't be able to summon it back. So basically, the check of if you have enough summon points to sustain your whole team is only made when you summon. Is there more transformations? Also, this is like the animation of the transformation. That's how you transform. You hit the ground, there's big special effects, and then you become... That's the when you transform back. So you do a bit of animation, there's a flash of light to hide the swap, and then your character comes back. Yeah. Once again, they're saying that the flash of light special effects is to hide the switch. And then we're back to the famous idle stance. People are happy to be able to farm in a faster if you transform yourself and go in melee. So the skin and the hair colors will keep the same color.
C'est vrai qu'on essaie, à un moment, il y avait quelques transformations du genre Sakier, Berserk qui prenaient pas certaines couleurs.
Sakier and Oogie, Yapper weren't taking the colors. But now we're trying to uniform it, to create a uniform feeling. Same thing with the... So the clothes are used on the summons, and the skin and hair is used on the transformation. Here's like an example where the Osamodas is blue, while the transformation gets blue as well. Yeah, everything changes.
Malheureusement, j'ai vu qu'il y avait une question sur ce sujet-là. Lors de la création de personnage, vous pouvez pas voir exactement à quoi ça
Unfortunately, when you create a character, you can't see what it looks like. We added some options to see like color living items, but unfortunately we don't have that added to the character creation screen. Maybe later, maybe. Here are some spoilers on some spells. These are max rank. You can take a screenshot, look that in detail. It gives you a good idea. Okay, so here it applies a state of protection on all of your summons, deals damage, or here's a move, positioning spell, same thing. Here's the big spell of the Agi. So steals
Et le petit bonus, la petite interaction sur les invocations, c'est que si vous avez des invocations alignées avec la cible, elles vont être attirées au corps à corps de l'entité que vous ciblez. Et donc tous les sorts comme ça.
Okay. This one dashes to the summon
sorts élémentaires de l'Osamodas,
and pulls any enemies that is in line through the summon.
ça soit un vrai gameplay d'Osamodas.
So you dash to the gobble and the gobble pulls everything. So it kind of it uses the summon as a pivot for doing other effects.
Et ouais, ça, il nous reste quelques exemples là, juste de sorts.
Here are a couple more examples.
Donc vous voyez le fameux fouet que vous voyez au centre, qui est du coup voilà, le sort de dommage meilleur élément qui va permettre de pousser la cible de 2 cases avec un coup de fouet et la booster en PM.
This one pushes the summon.
Le fameux retour, mais qui du coup on a misé sur l'aspect.
On l'appelle.
And if
Exactement. Donc c'est très fun à utiliser, vous verrez, ça permet de débloquer pas mal de nouveaux tours intéressants et on a
oh what?
ce genre de voilà
You can leech a summon and when you walk it will follow you automatically.
Là, il y a vraiment ce côté que vous invoquez votre zoo, votre animalerie et
And you can cast it on yourself to apply to every summon. Okay, there's a lot to read here. I'll try to translate it after. This one will help you help your summon make your summon tankier. Heals them and increases their vitality by 50% for 3 turns.
Si vous investissez justement des sorts de boost et de la protection, vous puissiez les faire tanker. Et pour le coup, j'ai fait vraiment beaucoup de tests en PVM pour voir si ça marchait.
He did, Crocus says he did a lot of tests in PVM. If you use the right spells to shield and to heal your summons, you can keep them alive. And okay, let's talk about the characteristics inherited from the caster. Basically, rank 1 summons will get 30% of your stats. So it's 30% per rank. So 30% for the small tofu, 60% for the medium, and then 90% of your stats. Some summons will be able to use crits, for instance, and then another thing that I didn't see. Flat damage is also using the same formula. Yeah. We tried to balance all of this. There's going to be some adjustments to do for sure. But we'll be keeping an eye on that and doing the adjustments that are needed as we go. Yeah, we put everything in place to be able to balance the class as we go. We have a lot of time to test during the beta, and we really want to make the class release in a balanced state. As a reminder, on the beta, there's going to be a free loot area. You create your character, you make it instantly level 200. You can do PvP. You can use the stones to teleport in any dungeon and try directly in the boss room. So you can test basically everything, every set. Starting from the 9th of July, you'll be able to access the beta. Yeah. On the launcher, you start the beta version. There's a specific server, that's a beta server. And yeah, the versions release, the official release is on the 22nd of July. We will be able to adjust during the beta, tweak some numbers. Oh no, they're talking about the dev blog, I think. So they will give examples, number, details, character design. So around now, the dev blog should be able to get released, or at the end of the live. And oh, there's still some slides. Woo! Oh, it's looking nice. Oh, they skipped so fast. Okay, so here are some examples of the fire, water, I think that's strength, and Agi.
quelques minutes après, vous pouvez retrouver.
So at the end of the live, there's going to be the dev blog for this and the dev blog for.
Par contre, oui,
Et
ça reste un devlog.
le meilleur des exemples que vous pouvez avoir, c'est en bêta.
Yeah, there's not going to be every detail, every spell, everything. You'll need to go to the beta.
Quelques questions, si vous voulez, avant de
We can take
ce live,
a couple of
si vous avez
questions
quelques-unes passées, on est partant.
before we end this live.
Je pense, du coup, hein.
Oui, bien sûr, on reste sur l'Osamodas. Si vous
The
voulez.
questions need to be
On va essayer de rester-
around the Osamodas topic, of course.
Bien sûr, c'est des gars voilà, sur nos serveurs locaux avec des faux stuff.
Yeah, the damage numbers don't
L'Osa en
don't take about it.
Euh,
Is it viable in Omni Element?
Multi-éléments, ouais. Multi-éléments.
Ok, ouais, multi-éléments, toujours possible, complètement.
It's
Là,
possible.
un truc qui était justement un des points positifs quand même de la refonte d'avant, c'est que le mode
The previous rework
était très hermétique aux voies élémentaires.
allowed Osa to be Omni Element, but now the goal is to keep that.
Chaque voie, elle est en fait, de toute façon, c'est ce qu'on fait globalement sur toutes les classes maintenant.
Basically, it's the same thing for every class. Every element has its specificities, is viable, and you can still play it with the Omni set to have more versatility with less damage.
Dans l'alignement, il y a aussi le gob-gob qui sera commun à tous, qui a plus un rôle de soutien.
There's also the Gob Gob.
J'ai vu une autre question passer. Ah oui, toujours.
Yeah, there are some multi-element spells, like using the best element.
Gob-gob, il en a pas trois.
Ah si, les gob-gob, juste les gob-gob sont un peu
And
particuliers, où ils ont cooldown.
Summons have 2 spells, and the Gob Gob has 3 spells.
Là, je vois une question pour réexpliquer sur les invocations, c'est ça. C'est que si j'ai 6 invoques et que j'invoque 2 cracklers à 3,
So he's clarifying the rank system. If I have 6 summon points, I summon 2 cracklers, that's it.
Alors, une animation de sort, donc déjà ça dépend du
How much time does it How much time does it take to create a spell animation?
du personnage.
It depends on a lot of stuff.
Un sort Osamodas, donc on a l'animation même du personnage.
You need to animate the character.
On fixe 2-3 jours pour
It takes 2 or 3 days.
il y a le FX à travailler.
And then the effects, special effects,
Selon la taille du FX et selon
depending on the size, or if we can reuse some stuff.
on peut mettre pareil 2-3 jours sur le FX.
It can take up to 2-3 days to do that as well.
Et puis en plus, cette classe-là a toutes ses invocations, donc ça fait. C'est sûrement la classe la plus longue à animer.
It's probably Osamodas is probably the longest class to animate because all of the summons have their animations as well. How much does it cost to summon a Gob Gob? It's 2 summon points.
Dont notamment le fait dont on parlait tout à l'heure. Voilà, je spoil pas trop les gob-gob.
No spoil on the Gob Gobs. What happens if there's multiple Osamodas in the fight?
Actuellement, il n'y en a aucune.
There's no global cooldown,
Complètement autonome, donc il n'y a pas de relance.
so each Osa can play their gameplay like there was no other Osa in the fight.
S'il y a des trucs qui
Obviously,
on sera attentif et
if there are some abuse, we might add some global cooldowns. But for now, we don't want to
ça nous ferait jamais très plaisir, hein, mais
don't want to prevent Osamodas to play if they
6 invoques chacune.
if people start playing 8 Osas with 6 summons each.
Et encore, je suis pas sûr que
We might.
faire ça parce que
Ça
jouer,
va faire des combats très longs en plus.
Yeah, it's gonna make a very long fight, so no one will want to do that. But we will keep an eye open and see what happens and adjust as needed. Is there a passive to the class?
la différence, mais on a vraiment essayé pour autant de pas du tout justement détruire le skill cap de la classe parce que c'est vrai que le
I didn't.
c'est dur à traduire en
He's getting some flack because he's using English names.
ouais, c'est ça, actuellement ça doit être du 3
So it's 3 stars, the difficulty of the class. We want to make the class a bit easier to discover, but harder to master. Each spell has a lot of lines of effects, and if you master all of this, it can. They wanted to keep the high skill ceiling, but they wanted to have it more accessible
Évidemment plus facile à prendre en main, c'est le but.
for new players.
Mais très bons ossards resteront au-dessus de la mêlée.
I think that's the goal that they want to do with all of the classes. Yeah, that's what he's saying.
Les classes invocatrices, elles ont généralement un gameplay un petit peu plus poussé.
Especially summoning classes are a bit harder to learn because you have to learn your class and the summons.
Il y a de quoi invoquer. Oui, toujours utile en team, clairement.
It's gonna be useful as a team player.
Facilement pour adapter votre style de jeu si vous voulez jouer un mode
You can
de support.
adjust your
Mais en mettant que des boosts sur vos alliés.
You can adjust your gameplay depending on what you want to do. You can choose to not summon, buff your allies. A bit of summons, a bit of damage. You can go like full melee and do damage. Transform yourself and don't use summons. Cosplay as an Oogie. It's gonna be the goal is to have many different viable ways to play the class.
Tu me dis si je me trompe, mais dans les nouveaux équipements, il n'y en a pas spécifique aux invocations.
Is there any new gear coming with the dimension that is really adjusted for summons? Is there's no one specific Osamodas set? Some of the items from the new dimension are they thought about that and they wanted to add like a couple of summons, but no set is specific for Osas. If you know that Osas make the fight super long, why do you keep making the Osas like that with a lot of summons? And Rework says, yeah, basically they added the self-transformation to buff yourself. Or you summon only one big summon, one big crackler, you put all your buffs on it and it will go faster. The crackler will just spam AoE or whatever. And obviously, like, we didn't want to remove the summons completely just to make the class faster to play. But yeah, basically having the cost in summon points on the summon makes some scenarios it's a bit faster to play if you cast only one big summon instead of having an army of Tofus. Same thing for the summons. They have queuable animations. You can cast really fast and they will play fast. So some of the attacks were very long when at the release, but now it should be better. Why are the summons 2 cost as a variant for the 3 cost? It depends on your gameplay. Sometimes it's going to be better to pick the 3 cost, sometimes it's going to be better to pick the 2 cost. But each summon, it's not only like a power ranking, each summon has a specific role. So depending on the fight that you're doing, you'll switch the variant. One last question. What about class items for Osamodas? We adapted the items. To be honest, we're not too much of a big fan of the class item right now. We want to rework them, but we tried to make them not too game breaking. It's not gonna be crazy. It's not gonna be too game changing. We want to keep them on the download so we can rework them eventually. We want to transform them to do something else with them. Don't put all of your hopes in the class items to... Yeah. They didn't take big risks, basically. Thanks for the follow, Nawa. That's gonna be the end of the live. Some of the questions in the chat are becoming too specific. guys, you will be able to just look at everything on the beta. Take a look at all of the spells. Look at the dev blog that's going to be releasing right about now. And we want to have like your feedback once you tried it. Reminder, beta is on the 9th. The release is on the 22nd. And thank you to everyone from being here. And we're hoping that you're as excited as we are. And don't forget to give feedback from the dev blog and from the beta. That's the end of the third live of the day. For those that will be at the Japan Expo, you can see the Titan fight on the stand. There's going to be a bit modified. And did I say it was the 9th of July, the beta? Just going to say once more. That's it. Thanks a lot again, and see you guys.